4 words that sum up the hopes of those who have tried to deceive you. Conflicts of interest? Doesn't matter. Just look the other way. Magic hairs, magic glass, look the other way. Late night calls and Google searches, falsified affidavits, inverted videos, and butt dials galore. Just look the other way. That's what they want. That's what they're counting on, but the uncontrovertible fact is you have been lied to in this courtroom. And your job is to make sure you don't ever look the other way. Your singular duty is to stare down the evidence and do it unflinchingly and do it unwaveringly. You see, you're the only thing standing between Karen Reed and the tyranny of injustice. It's a job you didn't ask for, probably a job you didn't want, but it's the greatest responsibility we have as citizens here in America, lest the government stop answering to us and we start answering to the government. This falsehood of the tongue leads to that of the heart, and in time, it depraves all its good dispositions. What does that mean? It means that it's been observed that to tell an untruth, to exaggerate, to make a false claim, it's a cancer. One lie begets another, and it's a malignancy that grows over time. And that, folks, is how a cover-up is born.
Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. How are you doing on this Thirsty Thursday? We got over the midweek hump and we're now into the home straight as we head towards the weekend. You're looking absolutely amazing, by the way. And what we're talking about in this video, we're talking about Karen Reed, of course, because maybe today is the day that we'll get a conclusion to this trial that has lasted for what, 30 days? 6 weeks. 6 weeks of listening to some quite mental stuff that is ranged from, what is it, the lead investigator making comments that he wants Karen Reed to off herself and that she's some kind of crazy lunatic. We've seen evidence of evidence being planted, and we've seen evidence of a potentially drunk person admitting to doing the crime. What I have sort of seen through this, and I haven't done many videos because I'm consciously aware that those who are interested are watching the trial. And, you know, that I know some of the creators who are showing it, like Lawyer You Know and so on, they do sort of summaries, and people are creatures of habit. And there was no point in me trying to break that habit. But I'm talking about it today because I find it's incredibly relevant to other cases, especially the Idaho 4, because we talk about the potential for evidence being planted and perhaps the behavior and things that happen between law enforcement and the case itself. Perhaps in some circumstances, they can twist and bend the rules. Now, we've seen it in the UK. We saw Wayne Couzens. I know a Sean Couzens. He's definitely not a murderer. Sorry, Sean, if you're watching. But yeah, Wayne Couzens, you know, the killer in the UK, the cop. And we saw the subsequent efforts of law enforcement, both his officer friends and the hierarchy within the system, trying to hide the fact that they pretty much knew what he was doing and what he was like. It was a huge thing. If you don't know about it, search it up. Wayne Couzens, such a monster, an absolute monster. But it showed that the entire force and those around this guy were corrupt as corrupt as you like. And in the Karen Reed case, you have to ask yourself, what is going on here? Because Karen Reed, sadly, isn't the most likeable person in the world. And I wonder whether there is a proportion of people who simply believe she's guilty because they don't like her. You know, she was scolded yesterday by the judge because of her smirking. So we have a look very briefly. So I think this is the report here. Or is it this one? Glamorous murder suspect Karen Reed scolded by judge for bizarre... Get shot of that. bizarre courtroom antics as she waits to learn her fate. A glamorous Massachusetts woman accused of killing her cop boyfriend was berated by a judge as she continued her in-court antics on the last day of her trial. Karen Reed, 44, same age as me. I hope that I look as good as what she does. Who has raised eyebrows throughout her murder trial with attention-grabbing behaviour and a throng of fans, was scolded on Wednesday as her trial wrapped up. She was reportedly caught smiling as her lawyer spoke to Norfolk County Superior Court Judge Beverly Canone? Excuse me, Canone quickly interrupted as she and attorney Alan Jackson were in conversation. This is funny, Miss Reed? Go through here. Reed could be seen shaking her head after being confronted by the judge, who responded bluntly, "All right, we're done." It came as Jackson was disputing the wording used in a verdict sheet to be handed to the jury, which he argued was guiding jurors towards finding Reed guilty, reports the New York Post. After Reed's apparent antics in court, Canone did not approve of Jackson's objection, saying it was the same verdict sheet handed out in all Massachusetts courts for a murder case. So all of the sheets are aimed towards promoting guilty and the jury finding the defendant that way. It wasn't a great argument. Following the hearing, Canone reportedly decided to slightly edit the verdict sheet. Oh, so she decided to edit the sheet that they use for all of the trials to add an additional instruction to the jury. The jury deliberated the verdict for around 3 hours on Tuesday and continued Wednesday as the trial concluded. Reed faces up to life in prison for the murder of her boyfriend John O'Keefe, who was found dead outside a friend's home in January 2022. We'll come back here for a second, then we'll go with it. So, yeah, that's the downside. I think there's a proportion of people who potentially feel that Karen Reed is guilty of this crime because they simply don't like her. She comes across as a bit arrogant. She comes across as, quite... It doesn't seem like she's really bothered. But I think to myself, look, if you're in this situation, we don't know how people are going to react to different situations. But if you're someone who thinks to yourself, look, I didn't do this crime, and it's pretty obvious what is happening here, and they are stumbling over and falling about trying to show that I'm guilty, and the more they show, the more they look as corrupt as can be. It was shown, you listened at the beginning, the glass that was clearly... I say clearly, it would appear that it was clearly planted. The broken taillight debacle, the reversing of videos debacle. If this was just a plain sailing situation and Karen Reed did the crime, then why has it been so convoluted to try and prove it? And that's where, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is why this is kind of entwined in cases such as the Idaho 4, as we consider the likelihood of Brian Kohberger just being someone who could be shown to be the perpetrator in a heinous act. Karen Reed didn't do herself any favours, but was her behaviour at the scene just indicative of, in fact, someone who felt that potentially that was the case? She thought she'd hit him. She considered that. That's not indicative of someone who was trying to hide the fact that she'd done anything, or this was a premeditated situation. And there's so many questions that you have to ask yourself regarding the actual, the death of John O'Keefe himself, the injuries he sustained. The injuries he sustained are not consistent with the way in which they're trying to say that Karen Reed killed him. But at the end of the day, this is the way it is. We can think either way. We can think she did it. We can think she didn't do it. I personally, now we've come to this point in time, I consider what I would do as a juror. And this is what I would do. I feel that there is an argument for both sides. But I fall real heavy on the fact that it appears that the behaviour surrounding the prosecuting officer, the way in which his injuries points to potentially an altercation just leaves to too much reasonable doubt. I don't feel that we know at this stage, regardless of how you feel, the facts must be the thing that guides your answer, not your heart, so to speak. This has to be purely based on fact, and the facts point to the fact that we just simply don't know. And you can't send somebody to jail for life. You can't send somebody to jail full stop in this situation, when in reality you just don't know what happened. And neither side has 100% shown that Karen Read is either guilty or innocent. But I certainly feel that there is enough, absolutely enough evidence to show that law enforcement have potentially tried to frame an innocent person for a crime that was committed by his friends. Let me know down below what you think. Do you think she's innocent? Do you think she's guilty? Or are you of a mindset that we simply don't know and may not ever know what happened that night? I'll be interested to hear your feelings. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day. Again, you look fantastic. You are fantastic. Thank you for being here, and I will catch you all later live. Remember, court here in Idaho 4 at 5:45 p.m. UK time, 10 a.m. local time to Latah County. So I'll see you all then.